everybody. Merry holidays, all that shit. This is Aaron the Pedantic. I'm being kind of quiet because everyone's asleep. But I still wanted to make a video, and that's the only time I can while my kids are here. So, what are we talking about today? So today I wanted to update everyone. So one of the things that I'm doing is I started a Discord channel, and this is purely to keep up with people that may be interested in games coming down the line, or, well, I mean, it's also if you just want to chat about things, but where this is going to come in important is that on Monday I will be running Morkborg, 6:30 p.m. Central Time, first come, first served. And so if you want to try it out, I may not be the best person to run it. I've been, crapping all over it for a while. That's a whole other thing. I might do a video on my crapping on Morkborg and me deciding that maybe that's not the best route to take. Let's not get into that. Anyway, so that is something that I'm going to be doing. So look out for that. I'm also looking for people to play DCC Hubris. So if you ever heard of Hubris, it's by Mike Evans. Really, really cool setting. Very dark, very savage game. So not for the faint of heart. And the players that I already have for the campaign are very dear to me. So you have to be good to them. But it should be a great time. It should be a great time. I plan on running that game for about 4 months. So it's not really like a long-term commitment. But if you think you can do 4 months, then and you feel like it's for you, then just give me a shout, and I'll we can talk about it. So that should be starting in a couple weeks. It will be on Fridays, 6:30 p.m. Central. There are occasions where I might try and move it to Thursday because of the fact that I get my kids on Fridays some weekends. So what else? Oh yeah, the topic of the video. So I'm trying to make the videos a little bit punchier, so that that people aren't like, oh my god, 30 minutes, what the fuck, I'm not doing that. So I had a conversation on Twitter today, which is where a lot of my RBG conversations take place. If you're not on there, you should give me a follow at cha_neg. But in any case, I had this conversation and it just blew my mind, the reaction I got. So basically, I was talking about the idea of having clerics basically removed as an option, and the only way that you could really access them, it's kind of like the idea of a paladin in a way. So you would dedicate 9 levels of being a fighter into service to your god. So you are a fighter, you get all the benefits from a fighter, and if you survive long enough to be 9th level, then you get to be a cleric. And so the way that I would do that, I wouldn't take away some of your hit points, I wouldn't lower some of your saves. This would be like a once in a generation type of character. So there would be a limit. The first person who gets there is the cleric for that generation, and they would get all of the spells that they would as a 9th level cleric. They would get the turning undead, the whole package. So it would be this huge deal. And anyway, so like one of the things that I got was somebody saying, well, if you're going to remove a class from a game that is class-based, then this is a problem. And going all into basically, why don't you play a game that already has them removed, or treats them differently? Why play OSE if you're going to change something that's so pivotal? And so this is something that I kind of wanted to get some people's opinions on, because I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think it's definitely going to change the game. The fact that you wouldn't have ready healing as much, would change the game. It would change the pace a lot. People would be a lot more careful, because you're a petrification away from being gone for good, basically. Death is already pretty damn final. It's just that your healing spells are not going to carry you as much. They're not going to carry you at all because they're not accessible. And to me, and part of it also is that there have been many DMs that have told me about their experiences with this, and they had a great time. This is just how they run their game, and it works for a lot of different reasons, particularly thematic. Because I don't always love that we have this game where you're dealing with a lot of people who get powers directly from gods. I kind of like a world where that's a little bit more mysterious. So maybe there are some clerics out there, maybe not. And if there are, then I like for it to be just kind of like, well, I mean, is it really the god that's doing that, or is it a demon? You don't really know. And like just having a bit of more mystery about it. I kind of like that idea. So I actually did a blog entry about that. But I had some like a lot of pushback from not a lot of people, but like one person in particular that I was just flabbergasted. I was like, wow. And there were a few other people as well, but like there was just one in particular that was just really like kind of it felt like they were trying to say don't home rule for D&D, and I'm just like, this is the OSR. I mean, home ruling is kind of what we do for the most part. I mean, if you look at I mean, OSE itself, there are tons of optional rules. I mean, if you look at OSE Advanced, there's even more optional rules. If you look at first edition AD&D, there's a ton of optional rules. Clearly, the game, there's not a one true way to play the game. Clearly, it doesn't take a PhD to be a designer and to change something. Clearly, you don't have to create an entire new game and then sell that and say, okay, friends, we're going to play this version, which is something I created from the ground up because I thought it would be unfair that you might come to my table and expect old school essentials and have old school essentials, but there's one class missing. This just blew my fucking mind. So needless to say, I disagree with that perspective. I think that there's nothing wrong. In fact, I would encourage people to make the game their own. I think that that is part of the process of just running a game for a long time. There are some positive aspects of running the game as it's written. It makes it very easy for people if they are coming in, their first time people to your table. Maybe they want to have something reliable or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of good things that can come of it, but there's nothing quite like having a game that you have just tweaked just the way you like it. I mean, I have yet to meet a game that is exactly the way I like it as it's written. And I don't see why I should endure that just because the perfect one hasn't been written yet. So that is my perspective. That argument got me butt mad. I was legit pretty mad about it. So, yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. It just kind of blew me out of the water. I just didn't think that's very prevalent. I did know about the people that are incredibly rules as written oriented in 5th edition, and I knew of some people that were trying to push that for 1st edition, even though I think it's kind of baffling. But it just surprised me. So no, I'm not going to just play. One of the suggestions was, why don't you play DCC Lankmar if you don't want clerics to be a big deal? I'm like, that's an entirely different system. I'm running a DCC game already. There is something I like DCC for, and it's something that in this case I wanted BX for instead. So I mean, and there's a drastic difference between those things. Just baffling. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Like I said, trying to keep it under 10 minutes. We'll see how that continues. Obviously, if I'm doing something in depth, then that won't work. But y'all are awesome. Hope you're having great holidays. I would say Happy New Year, but I'm going to make another video before then. So peace out, everybody.